Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so our last video on how to derive the quadratic formula, where it came from, left off right here. X squared plus b over a, that's the number in front, that's the constant in front of the x, is equal to the opposite of c over a. And now in this video we're ready to continue with the next part of the process. So if you haven't watched the first video, watch the first one. Now as we continue, what we have to do, since the x's are alone, we have a leading coefficient of 1, our constants are on the right hand side, our variables are on the left, in correct order. What we do is we have to come up with that magic number to add to both sides. And remember, the way you do that is you look at the coefficient of the x term, which in this case is b over a, and you divide it by 2. Well, remember, dividing something by 2 is the same as taking half of something, right? Half of. So we take half of means times, we take half of b over a and we square it. That's how we come up with the number that we're going to add to both sides of the equation. So b over a is the coefficient of the x term. We take half of b over a and we square it. I'm kind of doing this off to the side for you to see where we're getting that number. 1/2 of b over a is the same as b over 2a, right? 1 times b, 2 times a. Now that has to be squared. b to the second power is b squared. 2 squared is 4. A squared is a squared. So this is the magic number that we have to add to both sides of the original equation to complete the square. So I originally had x squared plus b over a times x is equal to the opposite of c over a. That's what I originally had. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to add b squared over 4a squared to both sides of the equation. Okay? Now what that did for me is that completed the square. So that means this trinomial should now be able to factor as a perfect square. And the easiest way to factor this, because this is pretty ugly, is follow the same pattern that I taught you before. We know we have an x in the front. These are all pluses, so we have a plus. And the easiest way to find out what number to put in here was the number that you squared after you took half of. Well, half of b over a was b over 2a. So, this trinomial factors as x plus b over 2a squared. And if you don't believe it, like if you really want to sit down and, distribute that out, FOIL it out, whatever, you will come up with this. But this is factored. And on this side of the equation, what I need to do, remember, to add two fractions together we need a common denominator. Well, the common denominator here is going to be 4a squared. This, however, is missing a 4 and an a. What I do to the bottom of a fraction, I do to the top. So I'm multiplying top and bottom by that. And that gives me, in the denominator, I have a 4a squared. And in the numerator, I'm not going to start with the negative, I'm going to start with the b squared. And then I have a minus 4ac. So here's where we are right now. X plus b over 2a, quantity squared, equals b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. And in the next video, I'm going to continue, but this is as far as I'm going to go on this video. Okay? I want to take it in pieces. So this is video 2 of video 3.